and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the digital world. I'm Steve Robbins and Lisa Avenelli. We are both certified financial planners in Old Town Florissant on St. Francis. Today, we're going to talk about the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. We are not lenders, and this is a fluid subject at this time, but we're going to share with you what we know or what we think we know today. So the slides coming up.
Well, hold on just a moment. I'm going to do. I shared the wrong thing.
Okay,
here we go.
Here we go. So there are four main parts that we're going to cover today: economic impact payments, that's your free money, retirement fund withdrawals, required minimum distributions, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what your options are for relief as a small business. So who gets the money, Lisa?
All right, so the economic impact or stimulus checks are for everyone is eligible to receive a check. That is, if you have a social security number and if you're a U.S. citizen and if you're not claimed as a dependent on anyone else's tax return. So those individuals who earn as a single person less than $75,000 or less, and those couples who earn as a couple $150,000 or less, and that's based on adjusted gross income, looking back at your 2018 tax returns or your 2019 tax returns if those are filed. So if you fall within those adjusted gross income limitations, you will receive a check for $1,200 as a single person, $2,400 as a couple. In addition, for each child that you claim as a dependent in your household that is age 16 or under, you'll receive a check for $500 for each child. If you made too much, made over those income limitations, over the $75,000 as a single, over $150,000 as a married couple, and you may not apply to receive a check today, but potentially your 2020 income has fallen below below those limitations, you can claim the $1,200 credit on your taxes in 2020. So when you file a year from now, you'll get that tax credit on your 2020 tax return. So you won't get a check this year, but you can claim it next year. And that holds true if you have a child in 2020. When you file your tax returns a year from now, you can get that $500 credit for your child for this year.
If your income is above $75,000 as a single person, but below $99,000, there's a phase out, so you'll get a portion of the $1,200. If you're filing married and your income is between $150,000 and $198,000, there's also a phase out there, so you'll receive a reduced amount for that if your income is above $150,000 and below $198,000. If your income is above $99,000 as a single person and $198,000 as a married couple, then you won't receive your check.
Will you owe taxes? No, it's purely a tax credit, so it's not treated as income, so there's no tax liability on the payments that are received. We've had clients ask, will I still get a check if I'm retired or if I didn't file my tax return in 2018 or 2019? The answer is yes, because again, it's based on your adjusted gross income. When and how will I get my check? Checks are starting to be sent this week. If you filed in 2018 and or 2019 using and paid or received your refund via direct deposit, that's the method in which you will receive your payment. Again, beginning this week, they'll start with direct deposits. Beginning the 1st of May, they'll start mailing checks. For those that may have changed banks since they filed their tax return last year, may need to update their direct deposit information, or for those that maybe didn't file a tax return but are looking to get their stimulus check quicker rather than waiting for the mailed checks, you can go directly to the IRS website This is a picture from this morning's, the irs.gov website. And you can click on there where you see it says Get My Payment. This was just updated this morning. I actually had to update the slide today. Yesterday, they didn't have this option on there yet. So you can now go in there and update your bank information or add your bank information if you did not use direct deposit to get or receive your taxes last year, your tax refund last year.
So if your customers or if you know somebody who, for example, is only living on Social Security benefits, they're not filing a tax return each year, they'll still receive a payment. They will have to go onto the website and put in that information onto this IRS website.
Okay, this has come up. There's watch out for scammers with these checks. The IRS will, as the slide says, it will provide information on their website. They're updating it literally daily with information. They will also, they're also set to mail you a letter after they send you payment, either via direct deposit or through the mail, letting you know the method in which they sent the payment and when they mailed it or sent a direct deposit. They will not ever call you, text you, email you, connect with you for social media, asking you to verify bank information or anything of that nature.
Okay, what do you do with the stimulus check? It's yours. It's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. You are not going to owe any taxes on it. The government isn't going to ask for the money back. So pay for necessities, pay for toilet paper, pay off interest debt. You can start an emergency fund or add to your emergency fund. Save towards retirement. If you need some help there, Lisa and I are available, or you can help others in need, charities, or basically it's whatever you want to do with the money, it's yours.
Okay, the next major part of the CARES Act is the ability to withdraw funds from your IRA, 401k, retirement type accounts, tax and penalty free if you fall within certain guidelines. So if you have an IRA or a 401k, you're in need of funds, you can withdraw up to $100,000 per person from your retirement account with no penalty or tax consequences if those funds are repaid, meaning put back into your retirement account within 3 years. There are no limitations on what you can use the funds for in that 3-year period. There are some guidelines as far as eligibility and how you can qualify to be able to take the money out, but it's extremely broad and ever changing at this point, and there's a lot of gray area. Basically, if you've been affected in any way, whether you get diagnosed or you're affected financially, again, it's a pretty broad area. So most people will have the ability to withdraw up to $100,000 from your retirement accounts, tax and penalty free. Again, you'd have to replenish your retirement account within 3 years in order to not owe the tax liability. If you're not able to replenish within 3 years, if you're under age 50 and 59 and a half, you still will not owe any penalty. They've waived that. But regardless of your age, you will owe income taxes on the distribution if you're not able to replenish it, pay it back into your account within the 3-year period.
If you are 70 and a half years old before the beginning of this year, or 72 this year, you would normally be subject to required minimum distributions, an amount that is set by the IRS that you must take out of your retirement accounts each year if you're no longer working and adding money to those accounts. And that would be in the case of a 401k plan. If you have a traditional IRA, you are still subject to the required minimum distributions. This year, the required minimum distribution, the requirement is suspended. So you won't have to take out any distribution during 2020. You'll have to start next year under current law. You'll have to start taking those RMDs next year in 2021. You will not be required to take out two distributions, 2020 and 2021 next year. For most people, depending on your date of birth, you might have to take out two. But it's not a required minimum distribution based on the CARES Act. This applies to both your retirement accounts or any accounts that you inherited that were retirement accounts from somebody that you received it from as a beneficiary.
Okay, small business relief options. There's a lot of information out there, and I found it a little difficult to try to gather it and break it down to where it was understandable, easily understandable. Basically, there are 4 different relief options. The main one that you're probably reading and hearing and looking into is the Paycheck Protection Program. So that's the one that we're going to get into most detail with. The first 3 on here, the economic injury disaster loan, it's basically a grant, right, Steve? It's a grant. You can apply to get $10,000. Doesn't have to be repaid if you meet certain criteria. The Express Bridge loan, basically, if you have a relationship with a current lender, allows you to get up to $25,000 very quickly to help bridge the gap until you get approved for the economic injury disaster loan / grant of $10,000. That's kind of the basics of those 2. The third option, the SBA debt relief, basically if you already had a loan as a small business and you need some reprieve in making the payments and interest, there you can apply for reprieve for 6 months there. There's a lot more information and detail on those, but we could be here all day discussing all of these options. We'll get into more detail on the Paycheck Protection Program, but we'll let you know resources and where to go for more information and how to apply for all of this as well.
For most of the small businesses that belong to the Chamber, it's probably the Paycheck Protection Program that is going to provide the greatest amount of relief. It's an incentive for small businesses to keep their workers, your employees, on payroll. It will assist you in paying for your utilities, rent, lease payments, mortgage obligations, and you will have the ability to apply for loan forgiveness. So it's designed to provide you a couple months worth of salary reimbursement for your employees. Doesn't require any collateral. It is basically 100% of, for most employers, it provides you 100% of 2 months worth of salaries if you can retain your employees or rehire your employees after the 2-month period. It does cap out for high income at $100,000, employees that make over $100,000. And then it will provide about 25% to cover of the cost of your utilities and rent or mortgage payments and interest that you pay. The interest on the loan is deferred for 6 months. After a 6-month period, it's basically a 0.5% interest. So it's an extremely low interest cost, and you can it matures in 2 years. You would have to pay back the loan unless it's forgiven after a 2-year period. So the maximum amount is basically 2 months worth of your payroll, 25% of your other business costs. And if you keep your employees or rehire your employees for the entire 8-week period, you can apply for loan forgiveness. And from our understanding, the loan forgiveness is very lenient. You apply. We have another slide on application. Did you have anything to add to that?
The only thing, if you've already let employees go, you're looking to rehire them and take advantage of this, you have until June 30th both to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program loan and to restore your full-time employees and at the salary levels they were at for any changes that have been made because of the crisis.
You can contact the Small Business Administration through their website. We have it on the screen, www.sba.gov. for additional information. The Chamber, and we have that also on the screen, has provided a list of known lenders. This is probably may have changed from the time that this was posted, but if you don't have this list, you can go to the SBA website or contact the Chamber of Commerce for lenders that are within the local area. So let's talk about tax filing. Normally, today is the day that you owe your tax returns to the IRS. Today is April 15th. The tax filing date has been postponed to July 15th. That applies to everyone, not just if you're ill with the virus. Everyone has an automatic extension until July 15th. What about tax payments?
So for those businesses or individuals who make estimated tax payments throughout the year, generally today is also the day that your first estimated tax payment for 2020 would normally be due, but those have also been delayed until July 15th. As of this morning, based on again, information changes daily, based on the research that Steve and I could find, the odd thing is your second estimated tax payment will still be due on June 15th. So your April 15th is due July 15th, and your second quarterly estimated tax payment for 2020 is still due June 15th as of now.
That's correct. Your contributions to your individual retirement accounts, while they're normally required to be made by April 15th when you file your taxes, those have also been extended to July 15th of 2020 for 2019. So if you're considering making a contribution to your individual retirement accounts, you still have a few months before you have to make those payments.
And that tax filing extension of July 15th is for both federal and Missouri state. If you have friends or family, before you relay this information, have them check with their local their state agencies, because every state is a little bit different. Most of them are extending to the July 15th date, but I did see a couple of states when I looked this up yesterday where their extension is only through May or June. So I would encourage everyone, depending on the state they live in and where they file, to look up that information.
In closing, and then we'll open it up for a few minutes if the Chamber allows for questions. In closing, we have information on our website. Lisa's bringing it up on the screen. www.steverobinsonline.com. You can visit us on Facebook or LinkedIn. We will have, as information is available, and if you would like to receive that information, just send us an email. But we will have continuous webinars throughout the COVID-19 crisis. If there's any additional stimulus or any other related topics, we try and keep our clients informed. And if you'd like to tap into that information, so let us know, and we'll make sure that you're invited to any of those webinars or events that we are going to hold as we go through this.